And you are now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing, everybody? Gene Berardelli, Ross Galloway here. Ross, what's going on, man? You're looking like respectable tonight. What's the deal here?
Yeah, man, I found myself on a Signal group chat. Hearing stuff. I had to clean myself up real quick. I don't want to get in trouble.
Oh, I didn't know there was FaceTime involved with that whole thing. I guess you gotta follow the rules. I gotta be clean shaven.
Well, I had a profile pic with a beard in there. I gotta clean up.
Shape up or ship out, as they say, I guess, huh?
I obviously have no idea what Signal is.
Me neither, pal. But the real reason you told me off air is that you might be considered honorable again at some point in time here.
Possibly. We'll see. I'm flirting with the idea of getting involved in local politics and homeowners association. We'll see.
Oh God, you're gonna be one of those Karens we see all the time.
I'm a less government, more fun guy though. So
hell yeah,
violations or any of that stuff.
Hell yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. Well, this week I guess we both have that in common now because you're considering, dipping your toe in locally. And as I documented on the channel earlier this week, I kind of waded into the pool a little bit myself. I headed back to our old stomping grounds of Brooklyn, New York, and stirring up some shit.
Gene, you're doing God's work to try to stop Andrew Evil Eyes Cuomo, as our friend Curtis Lewa would call him. But don't be a hero, man. Don't invest too much time and effort into saving the people of New York City. Let them have Andrew Cuomo. They deserve it.
Oh, well, I'm not really doing it for the People's Republic of New York City. I'm actually doing this for a friend of the show that you know as well, Tracy Alvino, who lost her father during COVID in 2020 while he was in a nursing home rehabbing. And it's 5 years, almost to the day. It would be 5 years yesterday that Andrew Cuomo issued that now infamous order from his Department of Health requiring nursing homes to readmit residents who were being treated for COVID in hospitals and had nowhere else to go, even though the USS Comfort was there and even though, the Javits Center had extra beds and all that. He required the nurse home not only to take them in, but prohibited them from doing COVID testing. And as we all know from the subcommittee on COVID in the House and their report, Cuomo was the only governor to go against CDC guidance in that respect. And then he covered it up to boot.
God's going to get him, man. And for you local New Yorkers that are listening, don't forget, not only was COVID, where he was literally responsible for people's deaths, a loss of livelihoods, and a whole host of other issues, that's the man that got you guys no cash bail, which is equally as disqualifying, in my view, for him to ever be in charge of anything ever again.
Oh, that's absolutely correct as well. And listen, in a lot of ways, New York has a Hobson's choice going on right now. There is no really good candidate that can actually win right now. We'll see in a couple months how the polls shake out as they have debates and things like that. But right now, it's either you're choosing bad, worse, or irredeemable. That's how bad.
You might as well throw AOC into the mix. What? She can't be worse. Could she?
She's not running. So
I'm saying they should throw her in.
You know what? For all we know, we're going to see AOC for Senate this time next year.
Oh, I already said this a couple weeks ago. I agree. The age of the old male Jew they're the next ones up in the Democratic Party to get thrown overboard. So bye, Chuck. It was a good ride.
They came for the old Christians, and
that was it.
Nobody said anything because they weren't old.
They came for the straight white males, and no one spoke up for me, right? Because they weren't straight white males.
There you go. Well, listen, we're not here to just have our typical 6 minutes of BS. We got a show to do, pal. And as we get started here, of course, we're going to ask everybody to like the show, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other shows, or don't, as Galloway pointed out last week.
I'm actually on probation, people, for what I said last week. Please like and get our email notifications. I'll text you personally. Please. Gene almost suspended me.
What we don't, what you can't see right now is that I have someone on the other end of the camera with a gun pointed at Galloway. No face, no YouTube. It's not literal. I'm joking right now. It's proverbial. But right now, he's going to learn how to serpentine real quick if he doesn't get in line. But let's get to this show. The first topic we're going to discuss. I'm going to take off the grift right now. Oh, that's taking off everything. Take off the grift, but we put that back up. First thing we're going to be talking about for your listening pleasure is not something that Republicans and conservatives want to talk about, and that is what the hell's going on and what is Signal. Because old heads like me and Galloway, we try to keep up with everything that's out there. Signal's a new one for me, but so is information going out to a reporter from the Atlantic in I guess like a group chat on this app, Signal. Could you imagine? It was Signal. And given blow by blow of an operation that was going on in real time involving a strike against the Houthis in the Middle East, I believe it was. And this reporter, who's not a friend of the Trump administration, sort of putting everything out on blast. This is clearly a major snafu, isn't it?
Gene, somehow you almost made it worse by saying they were on a singles app.
Listen, again, I don't know what Signal is. For all I know, they're signaling something.
So I actually do, being a little bit of a jokester, I actually am somewhat familiar with Signal.
And singles apps, yes, we know.
Yeah, I've used it in the past, and I use it still once in a while. It's a pretty good app. It's a text messaging app, basically. But the point of it is it has end-to-end encryption. And without getting too technical, because I'm not a technical kind of guy, from what it means basically is that app encrypts a message when it leaves one person's phone, and it travels through the cell towers or wherever it goes encrypted, and it can only be unencrypted by the intended receiver, which is that phone number that receives it on the other end with their Signal app. Right, so it is a secure way to send text messages as opposed to through your regular phone, which is unencrypted. Theoretically, anyone who has the technological know-how would be able to intercept your text messages from your regular Android or iPhone. Right, so it's somewhat secure. The Biden administration actually approved its use for government officials, including the CIA, for limited use. It's not authorized to transfer classified information, just like most systems are not authorized to do that. So then, there's a few questions that arise with this group chat that these individuals were on, right? Were they acting in accordance with current government guidelines? If they were discussing unclassified information, yes. If they were discussing any kind of sensitive information with a reporter on there that didn't belong on there, which there's a bunch of questions as to how that guy got on there, even sensitive information that's not necessarily classified would be a bad thing to have that guy on there. So sloppy, an unintentional spillage of some classified information or sensitive information, sure. But I don't think there's anything here that shows it was intentional, no matter what it was.
I don't think people are saying out there that there's anything sinister. I think they're just saying that there are people out there that are stupid. And whoever included this reporter or anyone else who shouldn't have been on there in this group chat, for lack of a better word, there's got to be some consequences. I think that the person who's falling on their sword here is Mike Waltz, right? He's the one that's saying that he was responsible for putting this together, and it was his error for including. I think the guy's name is Jeffrey Weissman. It's going to come out in the videos we're going to watch here. But right now, this is the first time we're seeing the Trump administration on the back foot. They're on defense right now, trying to make sure that they don't look any worse than they have been at this point. Okay, so as someone who's been in chains of command, what would you rate this on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being no big whoop, and 10 being heads must roll.
If some of the information that was disclosed is deemed to have been classified, and the people that disclosed that information knew it was classified, then you could have a big problem, right? Because whether or not that reporter was on there, that method of communication was not authorized to be discussing classified information. Now, legal minds like yours might like this. The declassification authority for the Department of Defense is the Secretary of Defense. So if he says something publicly, you might remember Donald Trump kind of said this during his classified documents trial, that he doesn't need to sign a document saying something is unclassified. He could think it in his head, and it automatically becomes unclassified, right? So if the Secretary of Defense could unclassify whatever he wants, then I don't know how you get the Secretary of Defense jammed up for disclosing classified information. Now, I know Walsh is falling on his sword for this one, and there might very well be a good reason. The way you add someone to a signal group is by inputting their phone number. So what seems to have happened is someone had a contact card in their phone with someone's name on it. That has not been disclosed, but this reporter's number was the number in that contact card. So like if somebody sent me Gene's phone number, but it was a reporter's number with Gene's name on the contact card, I migrate that into Signal. That guy's in our group now, right? That's probably one of the reasons why they don't want you discussing sensitive or classified information on a Signal group.
Oh, gee.
Information is protected as long as the people in the group are all vetted.
Right. This is why there needs to be more responsibility in this chain of command here. But you mentioned the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, and he actually was speaking to the press. I think it was earlier today. And let's listen to what he has to say here in connection with this growing controversy.
Texting war plans. Well, I noticed this morning out came something that doesn't look like war plans. And as a matter of fact, they even changed the title to attack plans because they know it's not war plans. There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods, no classified information. You know who sees war plans? I see them every single day. I looked at them this morning. I looked at attack plans this morning. You know who does attack plans and war plans? Men like that admiral right there, Paparo for the Indo-Pacific, or Eric Kurilla, our general in CENTCOM. They do attack plans and war plans. And thank God we have those leaders who do it and do it well, and our enemies know it. My job, as it said atop of that, everybody's seen it now, team update is to provide updates in real time. General updates in real time, keep everybody informed. That's what I did. That's my job. The war fighters will take the fight to the enemy, and I love what they do. And with President Trump's leadership, our enemies are on notice. We will have peace through strength, and we'll keep putting our troops first. Thank you very much. We're heading off.
Strike plans before they launched. Mr. Secretary.
So, is Hegseth making a distinction without a difference by talking about war plans versus attack plans versus team updates? Is he trying to put lipstick on a pig here?
I'll play the game for a minute.
Let's play this game. War plan. Let's get a definition.
A standard, I'm not even talking about a war plan, right? I have no concept of that. My time in the military, if you dealt with something like an operations order, which is for a small scale operation, that thing could be, 30, 40, 50 pages. And when you start adding in the fragmentary orders that follow it, they wind up being hundreds of pages long. So I can only imagine what a plan for war actually looks like when you start thinking about sustainment operations and all the stuff that goes along with that. The Joint Force with the Air Force, Navy, the Marine Corps, right? So obviously he's not disclosing a war plan over a text messaging app. Like that's kind of ridiculous, right? And if you read some of the stuff that was disclosed, it's like at 14, 15 hours, bombs will begin dropping. But like he said, there were no specific locations, no units involved. The Democrats made it sound like it was only an act of God that kept our service members safe. There was no information in there that said like it was coming off an aircraft carrier that's located at this longitude and latitude, right? So is it sloppy and should be investigated? You're not going to get an argument out of me, right? Like, I'm not so sure the government should be using Signal. And I've had this, I want to let you get in here, Gene, but I just want to say this one last thing. I've had this gripe with the government for a long time, even when my time in government, when I was in government. The private sector has apps and, like Microsoft Office products and a bunch of user-friendly Google Drive, like all these things that are very user-friendly. The government does not have systems that are user-friendly. So, you can't have, Donald Trump said, I wish they would all just sit in a lead room. Okay, like you have principal officers that are traveling all around the world all the time. I can't meet in one place in a lead room in a basement to discuss things. You have to have some way to communicate with your peers in this modern age. So like, the government should have an encrypted messaging app that is installed on their local devices, right? Their government-issued devices. But for the most part, they don't. So, like, I understand how these things happen because every single congressman throwing stones right now uses Signal. That's a guarantee. Okay, so sloppy, yes. Should they be using Signal? Probably not. Should the government come up with a better solution to communicate? Yes, they should.
Well, I guess in the legal world, in my sphere, we have conferences in person. We have depositions on Zoom. But when I have a court appearance that's handled remotely, they require us to use Microsoft Teams, which is for better security purposes, and that's actually like a court rule. So I get the concept of an end-to-end encrypted app and the need for security, especially in that setting. What I don't get is I don't think the average person can understand the information that is given in that Signal. Let's say that's been published today, and a lot of the jargon there, and people have to rely on an expert to explain what is being said in real time in that app. Now, here's the rub. This goes from being a national security issue to a political issue. I don't trust any expert on either side of the aisle, Republican or Democrat, to explain to me what was being said in that Signal app in real time during that time, because there's a vested interest in those experts to support the argument of their tribal side. And now this becomes a he said, she said, and I'm concerned that this is a national security issue that will now not really be resolved publicly because it's a political hot potato at this point. Am I wrong in thinking that way? Are there experts out there that will honorably tell us, regardless of their own personal viewpoints, about either Hegseth or this administration, that what happened in this is what Pete Hegseth says it is? Or do we just have to trust them?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. So what should the outcome be? Should we fire Trump's entire cabinet? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me, right?
No, that's too draconian. And
I'm not saying you're saying that, but I'm saying, like, that's what the Democrats are demanding. Like, they want everybody to resign, and they'll probably impeach Trump over this, and they'll try to arrest Pete Hegseth when he gets out of office for mishandling classified information, right? Like, that's what the left does. But what do they want to happen, right? At the end of the day, there was no nefarious intent. It's questionable whether or not the information was even classified because the declassification authority was actually on the thread. The real question, I think, there does need to be an investigation. How did that reporter get into that group, right? Like, was there a lower level staffer that sent a contact card to Mike Walsh intentionally with the wrong number on it? Like, I want to know that. And I'd like to make sure this never happens again. One way to make sure it never happens again is to not let government officials use Signal, which, again, that was approved under the Biden administration. So I'm a fan of revisiting that and getting rid of that.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement that there needs to be some after-action review here, and there needs to be some investigation, maybe even an independent investigation, maybe have Congress handle it rather than having, an inspector general from DOD handle it. Whatever the case may be, something like that needs to be done. But what's clear now is that we are in the political spin phase of this issue. And today, before the White House press corps, Caroline Leavitt was trying to answer questions from the press, even from friendly press like Fox News. I want to just visit this first statement from her and then we'll move on to a question that was asked by Fox News' Jackie Heinrich.
Said all along that no classified material was sent on this messaging thread. There were no locations, no sources, or methods revealed, and there were certainly no war plans discussed. The Atlantic has even admitted this themselves. Their release of these internal messages validates the truth, which we have been saying all along. If this story proves anything, it proves that Democrats and their propagandists in the mainstream media know how to fabricate, orchestrate, and disseminate a misinformation campaign quite well. And there's arguably no one in the media who loves manufacturing and pushing hoaxes more than Jeffrey Goldberg. Goldberg is an anti-Trump hater. He is a registered Democrat. Goldberg's wife is also a registered Democrat and a big Democrat donor who used to work under who? Hillary Clinton. This is the same Jeffrey Goldberg who infamously lied about weapons of mass destruction to get us into the Iraq War, which cost trillions of dollars and thousands of American soldiers. And how else has Goldberg discredited himself? By absurdly claiming that President Trump was Vladimir Putin during the 2016 campaign, by peddling the Russia, Russia, Russia hoax that tried to hijack President Trump's first term, by inventing the suckers and losers hoax to help Joe Biden in the 2020 election, by peddling a hoax about President Trump involving Gold Star families to help Kamala Harris in the 2024 election, which our campaign at the time vigorously denied. Jeffrey Goldberg didn't care. There's more, but we don't have all day, and we can now add this signal hoax to this very long list.
Okay, so I wouldn't call this a hoax necessarily. I think that's a bridge too far. Something happened, and as we said, that should be investigated here. Jeffrey Goldberg, I got his name right now. I got it wrong before. Is this a case of shooting the messenger? Again, YouTube, figuratively speaking, okay? Don't ding us.
I hate YouTube. No, I mean, first of all, I love Donald Trump's style, right? Because he called it a witch hunt today in the Oval Office. The man had his home raided over another classified documents hoax. The government definitely overclassifies things. And I'm not saying that there wasn't potentially some classified information being discussed on that single room. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, like Donald Trump said today, the operation went off without a hitch. The operation is continuing to go off without a hitch. The Houthis are learning a very hard lesson to not be pirates and shoot at American ships or international ships in international waters. And that should be the story, right? A successful military operation. Because I think we're going to play something from Caroline Levitt in a minute that talks about something under the Biden administration that got almost no coverage.
Oh, absolutely. I just want to do something because what you just said reminded me of there's a funny video that I saw from a service member. I think it was on Instagram. And he made this whole video about like the international community talking to the Houthis and saying, listen, whatever you do, don't shoot at American ships. They really hate it when you shoot at their ships. And then the Houthis like, well, we're shooting at their ships. And next thing you know, America enters like the screen like, you shot at our ships? It's like rockets, missiles, armor. It's like the whole thing. It was funny. So I'm gonna find it before the end of the show.
Yeah, I think I've seen that too. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a pretty funny one. Or if anything, I'll plug it in post production just to give us some laughs here. But yeah, here's a clip of Caroline Levitt taking a question from Fox News' Jackie Heinrich. I don't know if this is the clip you're talking about, but it's one of the ones I found.
So why aren't launch times on a mission strike classified?
Again, I would defer you to the Secretary of Defense's statement he put out this morning. There were various reasons he listed, things that were not included in that messaging thread that were not classified. And again, going back to the American public, do you trust the Secretary of Defense, who was nominated for this role, voted by the United States Senate into this role, who has served in combat, honorably served our nation in uniform? Or do you trust Jeffrey Goldberg, who is a registered Democrat and an anti-Trump sensationalist reporter? This president and this national security team are putting our national security and the American people first.
So I hate this. I hate when anyone argues an appeal to authority. It's a rhetorical thing that we have to point out on the show. We point out when Democrats do it, when Republicans do it, it's just as bad. Who are you going to believe? This decorated soldier and appointee that approved the Senate, or this Democrat reporter? To me, that's weak sauce. You don't like that,
Is it? What's the Latin phrase lawyers like to use? Falsus
in unum, falsus in omnibus,
falsus and everything, whatever it is.
Yeah, falsus in unum.
Yeah, I don't have. There you go. So I don't have a problem with that appeal to authority when we do it, because they're nothing but fucking hypocrites, bro. I've said this all the time. They fight dirty, right? Somehow that reporter got in there. There's no Trump administration official that knowingly invited that dude into that group chat, right? There's more to this story, I'm pretty sure. At the end of the day, like I said, these are all good people. They love our country. They're doing the right thing. And I don't know what the Democrats want to happen. Like, should the entire National Security Council get fired? The director of the CIA? Like, it just doesn't make sense. So, like, yeah, let's investigate it fully, see what happened. Because she went on to say, do you remember when Joe Biden gave a specific date at a specific location that American forces would be withdrawing from Afghanistan, and then 13 service members were killed and dozens maimed for life, right? What do you call that, right? Like, that had real repercussions. Thank God this one didn't, because there was some jackass reporter on there, and there weren't any real specifics about times, places, or methods or any of that stuff, right? Thank God. But where were the reporters then when those 13 souls lost their lives? I didn't hear a peep.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right in that respect. We didn't hear a peep from Democrats on that at all. And yes, that's a whataboutism. But you know what? It's a valid whataboutism. I think it just so happens that we dodged a bullet, and that it was just a reporter, and that it wasn't some other bad actor that this information could have been useful to. I don't even know what the information is, because I'm not so well versed in understanding what was going on here, and I don't trust experts in media to tell me anything about it. So in that respect, yeah, we dodged the bullet. It's probably a lesser degree of what happened with Joe Biden, but at the same time, it doesn't help with the public perception of what happened here by Caroline Levitt answering a question from Fox News, a friendly-ish media outlet, in such a way that she's like, well, who are you going to believe? You're going to believe this Democrat, or are you going to believe our guys that were voted in and build up their credibility? It doesn't sit well with me. It's a misstep by the Trump administration. I think if they went with your line of saying, I'm going to reiterate, yes, this was bad. Something happened here. We're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to come out of this with recommendations on how to be better, and we're going to own this and improve going forward. That's a great answer. That's an answer that the American people can have faith in, as long as you follow through with it. But going to, he's a Democrat and he's a shyster and he's, he lacks credibility for A, B, C, and D. That's great, and that's, I'll accept that for the truth of the matter asserted there. But at the same time, I need a little more than that, and I need that, owning of responsibility that you so eloquently put out there.
Well, I appreciate that, Gene, and I do think that that's the way it should be handled for the most part. Like, like you said, do an after-action review, figure out, how to never make this happen again. But especially the press secretary, what her role is, she's playing her position, because I can bring up one more quick one, the Hunter Biden laptop, right? Where was the left on that one, right? There was evidence on that laptop of Joe Biden's corruption, 10% for the big guy. Where were they, right? They can't be selectively outraged. And
I am so glad you brought that up, because that makes my argument for me when it comes to expertise, right? 50 some odd national security experts signed on to a letter saying that the laptop had all the earmarks of a Russian disinformation campaign. I've been played once by experts. I can't get played again under a new administration that's supposed to restore faith in our experts, in our government, in our operations. I can't go through. I've been hurt once before. I can't be hurt again. I just can't.
Well, It's going to get worse. Just be prepared.
Well,
Wait till the Republicans start trying to pass a budget. You're ready to get hurt again and be fooled again.
Absolutely right. So you know what? That brings us to halftime here on the show, and time for a little bit of the grift. So I want to thank you guys for tuning into the show. I'm Gene. He's Ross. We are Behind Enemy Lines. You want to thank you guys for watching us wherever you're watching, whether it be on YouTube, on Rumble, on X. If you're watching us live, if you're watching us on replay in the next couple of days, thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe to the channel wherever you're watching, or follow, whether it's on social media. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the shows. And if you like what you're seeing here in this or any video on any of our various channels or social media platforms, be sure to like it, share it with your friends, all that good stuff, because it helps us grow. It builds us an audience, and we want to keep spreading, the news, information, expertise that we have to all of you out there. And of course, if you're watching us live and you got something you want to say in the chat, wherever the chat is, shoot us a message. We're happy to talk to anybody and everybody about what's going on in the news today. You see the ticker on the bottom of the screen as well. We're hawking merch. We're selling my book, Schnooks, Crooks, Liars, and Scoundrels. The grift is in full effect. Check all that stuff out as well. You can check out our website at buffoonoftheweek.com. You can check out the merch at shop.buffoonoftheweek.com. And the book is available at the shop as well, also at Amazon and Barnes & Noble and other fine bookstores. All right, my friend, let's get into the second story that we plan to talk about today. And I'm going to try to put this as eloquently as I can. What the fuck is up with Jasmine Crockett? This member of Congress is just absolutely buck wild. We're going to go through some events and controversies that she's gotten into just this week alone, I think. And some of it will relate back to other statements she made. But, geez, Alou, where do we start with this buffoon?
Can I just start with this, Gene? Can we just please let MTG kick her ass? I mean, that we should have let that happen that day.
Well, do you remember, I think it was last year, when MTG got into a real, let's call it a kerfuffle, for lack of a better word, because that's just a funny word to say, and that really fits the situation. When she was going back and forth with Jasmine Crockett, ended up mentioning her false eyelashes, and then AOC jumped into it, and we got the "oh girl, baby girl" comment from AOC.
Yes.
Mike, it was.
And then even more recently, Nancy Mace threatened to take her outside. Like,
yeah.
Crockett is cruising for a bruising if she keeps this up.
Oh, she is writing checks that maybe her congressional seat can't cash at this point. I'm going to start with her statement directed at Texas Governor Greg Abbott. She was at I think it was like a human rights advocacy organization, like some type of fundraiser, looking like she just got dressed up for prom, by the way. And off-the-cuff comments get politicians in trouble all the time. Listen to this.
Because we in these hot-ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot-ass mess, honey. So,
I just want to remind everybody that she's actually a lawyer. And I don't know whether she is putting on this presentation for effect, or if this is actually how her brain functions. But calling Greg Abbott Governor Hot Wheels, I did not have that on my 2025 bingo card.
First of all, watch some of her old videos. She does not speak in that cadence or dialect 10 years ago, right? She was an inconsequential, like, one-term state representative in the state house in Texas.
Someone's been listening to Karl Rove.
Yes, and she was much more cleaned up and polished and much better spoken, more well-spoken, more white, if you will. She was much better spoken back in the day. Now she found her ethnic roots and trying to act a little more ghetto in the public for some reason. I don't understand. But she tried to cover this up, Gene. I don't know if you caught it earlier today. She said, well, I was referring, I don't know if you have this tweet lined up, but she tweeted out, I was referring to the governor because he's using planes, trains, and automobiles to ship immigrants to mostly black-run cities across the country. That's where I got the name Hot Wheels from. Now, they did a little research and they dug into this. She happened to be reposting and liking messages that reference Governor Abbott as Hot Wheels prior.
Oh, yes, I did catch that. I did catch it. I actually have pictures to put into post-production where she did mention and like other tweets about quote-unquote Governor Hot Wheels. But let me pull up the tweet that I think you were referencing here.
And while he's looking that up, lefties, how do you feel about a member of Congress on your team belittling a handicapped person?
Yeah, like, for real, right? So here's the tweet that Galloway was referencing.
Is this what the left has become? The party of tolerance? And if you want to talk about hot mess, that woman was the textbook definition of a hot mess right there with the fake. You guys can still hear me. I'm worried that Gene is about to fall off again.
No, it's not me. It's you, my friend. You're coming in kind of wonky on my end, but I think it's because I'm switching between different windows and stuff. So it may just be me delaying, and I'm sure it's coming out clear to everybody else. But I have the tweet on the screen. I wasn't thinking about the governor's condition. I was thinking about the planes, trains, and automobiles he used to transfer migrants into communities led by black mayors, deliberately stoking tension and fear among the most vulnerable. Literally, the next line I said was that he was a hot, oh, look, she's self-censored, a hot-ass mess, referencing his terrible policies. At no point did I mention or allude to his condition. So I'm even more appalled that the very people who unequivocally support Trump, a man known for racially insensitive nicknames and mocking those with disabilities, are now outraged. I saw a lot of people on X talking about Trump and trying to bring it back to the motions he was doing at a Trump rally that they claimed was mocking a disabled journalist, when that was debunked and it was just his over-exaggeration of a triggered Democrat. So the left, again, in the form of Jasmine Crockett right now, not taking responsibility for shit. I hope you heard me throughout that whole thing, pal, and that it was just me wonking out on the connection here.
Yeah, no, you sound perfect. But, you know, I go back to my default position. At the end of the day, I do think everyone needs to have thick skin. So even her calling him Governor Hot Wheels, crude joke, insensitive, yes. At the end of the day, I really don't care. But the Democrats always claim the moral high ground, that they are the tolerant ones, that they are the ones that are politically correct, right? So when they violate, you have to call them out and make fun of them, right? Because the right, the Donald Trump isn't going to run around saying he's politically correct, right? He actually gets accused of making fun of things and saying racist things when they're not even true, even though he does skirt the line sometimes to be funny. But the left claims that they don't do any of that.
Well, you mentioned what was Abbott's reaction to all this. Let's take a look from this clip from Hannity.
Accident at 26, and you were jogging, and you had a very severe injury, and yes, you are in a wheelchair, and I've gotten to know you. You're a personal friend of mine. I take it personally when friends of mine are attacked viciously for no reason, and there's no way in hell that this woman and her ex-post is going to convince me she meant anything other than what we all believe it to be. Your reaction?
Well, Sean, is another day and another disaster by the Democrats. The reality is they have no vision, no policy. They have nothing to sell but hate. And Americans are not buying it. It's one reason why Texas is going to remain red and why Republicans are going to continue to win elections across the country. The fact, Sean, is that Texas is actually in direct contrast to what she was talking about. Texas has ranked number one for the most new jobs in America over the past month, number one for the most new jobs over the past year, and for several years. Texas ranks number one for the most new economic development projects for 13 years in a row. CEOs who run businesses have ranked Texas the best state for doing business for 20 years in a row. And Texas is in the vanguard as it concerns the future of the United States, such as space exploration, such as artificial intelligence, such as semiconductors, as well as power generation.
He took the high road. Abbott took the high road. He didn't take the bait.
He did. And to tell you the truth, so like a lot of people in Texas, there's some turmoil in the Republican Party there. And even outside the state of Texas, like Tucker Carlson, for instance, has lots of differences of opinion with Governor Abbott. But I will say this, besides taking the high road and being a gentleman, Governor Abbott deserves a lot of credit. He single-handedly made illegal immigration a national issue during the interim or the intermission between the two Trump administrations, right? By keeping it alive and actually putting pain on the purple states and the blue states by sending this problem to other states and not, keeping it all in Texas. We might really be thanking him for getting Trump back in office and actually solving this problem now, right? So Jasmine Crockett can say whatever the hell she wants to say. She's the hot mess, really.
And speaking of hot mess, let's keep going forward into exploring Jasmine Crockett's, for lack of a better word, Jasmine Crockett's big ass mouth. She appeared on some sort of live stream concerning, I guess, Tesla. It was like a Tesla takedown forum or something like that. And there's this snippet going around of what Crockett said that many feel was a call for the continuation of all of the destruction of property and violence we've been seeing against Tesla, the vehicles, its dealerships. And this is what she said.
So I'll make sure that I keep it short, but I am truly here for very selfish reasons. Starting with on March 29th, it's my birthday. And all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down. Yes. Listen, so I'll make
for Elon to be taken down. What does that mean? Your guess is as good as mine, right? Could it mean that, it wants to see him taken down a peg politically? That's not the first thing that comes to mind for me, especially given the context of it. First thing that comes to mind for me is a continuation of a progressive backlash and indeed violence that's been perpetrated the past couple of weeks against Elon Musk, against Tesla, and against his property and his people.
The irony, Gene, is that I know lots of conservatives that are actively thinking about buying a Tesla now. Something that would have been unheard of, 2 or 3 years ago even. They're thinking about buying an electric car. Hell, I'm even thinking about buying an electric car. I don't want an electric car. I don't like them. I don't believe in them. But if there was an affordable one with a Tesla symbol on it, I'd probably buy it. I'm thinking about slapping a Tesla symbol on my Ford Explorer just for the laughs.
That would be fun, right? Yeah, for those of you who don't know, last year, Tesla had a pretty good year. I think it was the 5th most purchased electric vehicle in the nation. At one point, demand was so high that they were churning out something like 1,300 Teslas a day. For all the talk from people like Tim Walz, that idiot, talking about how Tesla stock was going down, Tesla stock has gone nothing but up since Tim Walz said that nonsense. In fact, you know what? We did a little bit of a short video here on Tim Walz and what he was saying. Let me pull this up because I think this is a nice little interlude here to laugh at Tim Walz, to laugh at these people going at Elon Musk, and just a little cameo also from Mr. Wonderful Kevin O'Leary on CNN, just bashing Walz over the head. At least that's what Jasmine Crockett would have said, possibly using violent rhetoric like that.
Well, she said that about Ted Cruz. Yeah.
We'll get to that in a second. But here is Tim Walz and the fallout from his statement.
I know some of you know this on the iPhone.
Really? This guy again?
They've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping.
You want us to lose?
And by the way, 2 days after that statement, Tesla went up 11 points. I think it's up a lot more. You know what? Let me check it out right now. so we can give you an update on where the Tesla stock is from when Tim Walz said his nonsense.
Well, the whole market was down today, so let's see.
I understand, but on March 20th, it was at 236. Today, right now, as we're recording this, 272.
All right.
So thank you very much, Tim Walz. I hope you're feeling really happy every morning when you're checking that app.
So
shut
up.
Wait,
what's astonishing, Gene, is that the left, what they're trying to do is mimic what we did. I know we got a little more here, but what they're trying to do is what we did with the Bud Light controversy, right? When conservatives and right of center people just said, you know what, we're gonna just not spend our money on Bud Light or Snow White, but in the battle of ideas, we articulate why we weren't gonna buy it, right? We didn't believe in a man dressed as a woman selling Bud Light, or we didn't believe in Snow White being a woman of color now, or whatever other woke ideas they inserted in there. But just take note, what is the left's argument? What is the hatred for Elon Musk? Why do they want to take him down? They won't say why, right? They can't say why because he's finding waste, fraud, and abuse. Why do they hate Donald Trump? They can't say what policies they disagree with him on because the American people are with them. So it's laughable when it comes to it. In the battle of ideas, they have none. They're just haters.
Absolutely right. I got some funny clips in here I want you to see, though.
Shut the fuck up, Tim.
Talking about Tim Walz and his comments about the Tesla stock, he says it gives him a boost to see that stock going down.
That poor guy didn't check his portfolio and his own pension plan for state.
Whoa, wait. What do you mean?
The Minnesota Tesla State Board of Investment, they have 1.6 million shares in Tesla in their retirement fund, 211,000 shares in a non-retirement fund.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
It's beyond stupid what he did. He's talking down a 3.5% weighting in his own pension plan. I mean, what's the matter with that guy? He doesn't check the well-being of his own constituents in his state. I mean, that's their investment fund. Point, what a bozo.
You an idiot?
Well, yes, he is.
Congratulations. You played yourself.
I knew you'd like that one.
Brilliant.
Speaking of playing themselves, let's go back to Jasmine Crockett for a second here. Crockett's comments about Tesla reached the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, and she has a message for the Congresswoman about her mouthy ways.
Words have consequences. And what happened after she said that about Elon Musk, she's a Texan in her own home state. After she said that, this morning, 3 explosive devices were found in Austin, Texas. So she needs to unequivocally denounce the violence. She must apologize immediately, not only to all Texans, but to our country, to the American shareholders of Tesla, because she is promoting violence.
There you go.
Yes. Remember January 6th? Remember when Donald Trump gave a speech and said, make your voices heard peacefully and patriotically. And then they tried to throw him in jail for the rest of his life for inciting an insurrection. Yes, this is how we play the game. You want to say we should take down Elon and Tesla, and then some lunatic from your side throws a firebomb at a Tesla shop? Yes, you should get locked up now for inciting an insurrection. I agree.
Or inciting other criminal behavior.
No, I want insurrection, Gene. It don't matter. They changed the definition of the word. We just changed definitions now. Elon works for the government. That's insurrection.
I can't do it, man. I can't go full libtard, though. I'm not gonna. I agree.
You never go full libtard, Gene.
You never go full libtard. You can't do that. No. You find other. There's other crimes that maybe you can connect to it, or maybe civil liability you can connect to it. Hit her in her pocketbook.
I want insurrection.
Yeah, I know. All you want is a finding of insurrection and like 150 scalps. That's it.
And then I want them to accuse Trump again. And then I want someone from the future DOJ to say, yeah, Trump is just so old and a nice old gentlemanly guy, and no jury would convict him. I want them to say that next time they accuse Trump of a crime too.
Oh, it's fun to dream. Well, listen, Jasmine Crockett would have a problem with what you said because she doesn't mean to. She's never incited violence. She's not violent, Galloway. How dare you even insinuate that? Except that there's video evidence of not only words but deeds now. I don't know if you saw this other video, but listen, this is just too perfect. This is literally too perfect.
Just in case the slow people listening decide to clip this up later, I just want to say that I have never promoted violence whatsoever. I think that you punch. I think you punch.
You can't make this up. You can't make this up. I don't promote violence, but yeah, you should punch.
Yeah.
Now,
she's just part of the fringe of their party. Find me somebody who's not like her in their party.
Well, the people steering the party right now all seem to sound like her, but is she being figurative, literal? Let's see, because this is a clip from, I think, at the end of the 2024 cycle, talking about Ted Cruz that you alluded to earlier.
I think you're okay with you okay with punching. You know, I think, and I love Colin, and I think towards the end he started to punch a little harder. But like, it's Ted Cruz. I mean, like, this dude has to be knocked over the head, like, hard, right? Like, there is no niceties with him, like, at all. Like, you go clean off on him, right?
That sounds to a person that maybe doesn't follow politics or is a fan of hers and does follow politics, sounds like a call to action to me.
Gene, she is another fake tough guy like AOC. Trust me when I tell you that woman has never gotten into a fight. I'm pretty sure she was in that Choose Your Fighter Democrat video where she's lined up lefty, and I don't believe she's a lefty. Okay, so
I am a lefty.
She ain't punching nobody.
I gotta turn this way towards you. Okay, turn towards me. Turn towards me.
See, and you got to do it weird. It's hold on.
Let's do it. Here we go. Here we go.
I got to wait. Lefty. Hold on.
I'm the lefty, and listen, I'm lefty, and I got my right cocked. I don't know why, but I'm just like, you know what? I throw lefty, I bat righty. It's just the way it is.
I'm the opposite. I throw righty and bat lefty.
There you go. Between the two of us, we got a switch hitter. But you said that she doesn't have the huevos, the marbles, if you will, to lash out. I beg to differ, and I think maybe you didn't see this clip. This is courtesy of Laura Loomer, of all people. But it's not Laura Loomer involved. She's just putting it out there. And I think after you see this, you might change your tune. This is a reporter trying to get a comment from Jasmine Crockett. And again, it's from Laura Loomer, so take it with a grain of salt. But what happens in this video is undeniable.
Hello, Congresswoman.
Horse manure. Well, that sounds like fun.
Wait, Congresswoman Crockett.
But it sounds.
Congresswoman Crockett, you were recently on a Tesla takedown call calling for violence on the 29th. Would you like to clarify your comments?
As you can see.
Congresswoman, will you condone violence at the Tesla?
Whoa. That's violence. That's assault right there.
And nothing's going to happen to her. So there you go.
Exactly right. Nothing's going to happen to her, or maybe something will happen to her. If Pam Bondi can back up her tough talk, if these House Republicans can back up their tough talk, digging up evidence of the other instances of quote-unquote Governor Hot Wheels that are out there in Twitter land and X land, put it together with a clip like that of her actually shoving a reporter. You may not like the outlet that the reporter is from, but it's still a reporter nonetheless. You put all this together, you put all these inconsistencies together, and a strong case could be made here, not only for censure, but maybe even a misdemeanor charge here, a misdemeanor assault. If anything, that will put her. If anything, that will put her on notice that she can't keep doing this.
Yeah, but imagine if that was like Ted Cruz that did that, right? Or Marco Rubio. They'd immediately be calling for resignations and censures and expulsion. Like, you were a fan of expelling my boy, Mr. Santos in New York over there. He hasn't done half the stuff that this woman has done.
I agree. I think she should be censured and she should be expelled. Absolutely. For assaulting a reporter like that? Absolutely. I'm all for it. Let's do it. Let's do it right now. Let's do it. Oh, wait, we can't. Because the Democrats are going to protect their own and they're going to tolerate this behavior. And that's the true hypocrisy of what goes on when it comes to Congress and trying to expel members. Republicans had the balls to expel George Santos, still retain the majority. Democrats will never do the same to someone like Jasmine Crockett, even in the face of undeniable evidence of a misdemeanor assault.
Listen, I respect the Democrats gangster, okay? They protect their own. I don't think we should be expelling anyone. And I think we should be doing the same exact thing. We should be going over the top and going out of our way to use euphemisms and however else you want to describe it to insinuate the possibility of violence and then say, politically speaking, of course, right? Just to piss them off. They do it to us all the time. And then we try to take the moral high ground on this one. We shouldn't. Get down in the mud with them. You know, have you ever seen a boxing match with one boxer wearing very padded, heavy gloves and the other one going bare knuckle? Like, it doesn't happen, man. Rip those gloves off and let's go at it. Let's have it out.
Oh, I agree that Republicans have willingly tied one hand behind their back when it comes to fighting a lot of these partisan fights and a lot of this culture war stuff. And while I applaud the high-mindedness of it, the idea of we go high when they go low, there are times when you need to go low. And I certainly agree with you on that. But I think the way that you go low is to take a video like Jasmine Crockett assaulting a reporter, giving it to the Department of Justice, filing an ethics complaint and filing the proper documents to expel her, and get the Democrats on record defending and condoning Jasmine Crockett's behavior. Get them on record fighting against a legitimate criminal investigation and keep them on their back foot the way that Republicans are now with this whole SNAFU involving Signal, and keep them having to do what Ross Galloway said last week and the week before. Have them fight these 80-20 battles. Have them be on the short side of the 80-20. I can't think of a majority of people supporting Jasmine Crockett for smacking a reporter. I can't think of anyone getting behind her and calling Greg Abbott Governor Hot Wheels or saying that you need to really hit Ted Cruz over the head. There's no way. If this is brought to light the right way, you can go low while staying high.
And I'll go one step further. I want to go even lower. I give Kash Patel and Pam Bondi another 30 days. I want a Democrat or a Democrat donor locked the fuck up. I want them indicted. I want them to get buried in legal fees. I want them bankrupted. I want their lives ruined like they did to Rudy Giuliani, like they tried to do to Donald Trump, right? Like they did to a whole host of characters on our side. Like they did to some of them on their own side. Devin Archer, who Donald Trump just pardoned. Hunter Biden's business associate that testified before Congress, right? It's time to make them pay. Go lower.
Well, you know why, this is going off on a tangent here, but you know why Devin Archer got pardoned, right? Because what happens now? Because what happens? Here's what happens.
Well, now he has no Fifth Amendment. Yeah,
exactly. He gets called before Congress. He has to say everything.
Correct. And forget about Congress. I'm done with Congress. He needs to go before a grand jury now. He needs to go get interviewed by the DOJ and Kash Patel's boys, and let's get the truth now.
Yes, especially now with Hunter Biden crying poverty because all of a sudden his paintings aren't selling anymore, and he has no money to deal with legal expenses while he's awaiting sentencing on his felony conviction. So, listen, I agree with you totally. If you want to have the DOJ calling Devin Archer and try to make the case against Biden Inc., I'm all for it. Let's
don't forget, Hunter and family got pardons too. So none of them are protected anymore. But the big guy didn't pardon himself, as far as we know, or his auto pen might have pardoned him, and no one knows. But we'll see, right? Get them in there and let's get them on record, under oath.
I'm with you on that. So you requested some time to you did your own show prep again 2 weeks in a row. I don't know how you are able to keep doing this, but you requested some time to talk about a topic that we didn't really put as a main topic here. You wanted to talk about Trump tariffs, the state of that, and let's have a little bit of a dialogue on that as well. Do you want this to be your final thought, or do you want this to to be its own segment. It's all depending upon what amount of time you want to have for this.
I mean, I could run through this real quick as a final thought, and we can still talk about it after. And I just won't follow up with a real final thought unless something pops in my head. But let me just go on this quick little rant, and then we'll see if you want to fill in some blanks here.
Sounds good.
For the people out there that are worried about tariffs, right? First of all, calm down, people. Right? Calm down. For many decades, when this country was founded, tariffs was our only real source of income to the federal government, to feed the beast, if you will. Right? A tariff is a fee charged to a foreign entity trying to sell goods in our country. That's what that is. Okay, there's lots of reasons to do it. To raise money, to have leverage for other bargaining, which is what Trump seems to be using them for, to protect your own markets, like a steel industry, to make sure American steel can compete with foreign steel. There's a whole host of reasons why tariffs are useful and important. Trump today signed an executive order. He said this is the beginning of Liberation Day. On April 2nd, tariffs against foreign-made automobiles will go into effect, 25% tariffs. And the market tanked, right? Because people are nervous about them. Really, the big wigs with a lot of money on Wall Street are taking profits from a market that was red hot for the last few months. Stocks are going to dip, and they're going to buy right back in, right? Never.
It was also a market on steroids, infused with a lot of government money. But be that as
correct. And what most people, and Trump says this a lot, and I hope it's clicking in, most other countries, including countries we have agreements with, charge tariffs on American exports into their countries or imports into their countries. Right?
Indeed, there is a tariff imbalance with a lot of countries. And one of the biggest news items that came out of this tariff war with China, with Canada, I should say, quote unquote, is the tariff on I think it was milk is like 290+% or something like that. So absolutely, this is exposed this tariff imbalance that we see with European cars, we see with other items coming from North America as well.
So imagine like the automobile companies, right? A lot of them have moved out of the United States, including foreign ones that had plants here left or went to Mexico or other places. So they go there, they build cars that say Ford or Chevy on them, they send them back to the United States. We don't charge a tariff. But if we build one here and send it to Mexico, they'll charge a tariff. And in other countries, it's even worse, like in Europe, right? So what Trump is saying, like, first of all, reciprocal tariffs, meaning if you do it to us, we're going to do it to you at the same level, seems fair to me. Here's the other reason really not to be worried about them, though. A place like China, right? China has slave labor. That's undeniable, right? Your iPhone, if you have an iPhone and an Android too, you have a device that was built by slaves. You don't want to admit it as an American, but it was, right? So it costs pennies on the dollar to build a product in China, and then they send it here, and we're not supposed to charge tariffs on it, so that we don't build cell phones here anymore, okay? We don't build cell phones in our country. Guess what happens if you slap a 25% tariff on a foreign-made cell phone from China? The knee-jerk response is prices are going to go up, and Americans are going to lose money. That couldn't be further from the truth. Right? A 25% tariff on an iPhone when their profit margin in China might be 90%. Guess what they're going to do with that tariff? They're going to fucking eat the cost, bro, because they still want to undercut American manufacturers. That goes in every field. No matter what we're importing, the only way they keep Americans out of that market, building it here, is by undercutting the price. So their profit margins are huge. If you slap a tariff on it, it's a way for the federal government to build some revenue. It is an incentive for them to lower tariffs for products that we ship there, and the prices are not going to go up. Not at all. I'm not even going to say a little bit. They're not going to go up. Trust me when I tell you this. We will revisit this. They're not going to go up. The last point I want to make on tariffs, which I think is like kind of astonishing, is the left always says corporations have to pay their fair share, and we got to raise taxes on a corporation. What they don't say is they only mean American corporations, which makes us less competitive, right? They want to slap tariffs in effectively on American companies that are selling in America by raising corporate taxes. But they are dead set against, and including a lot of rhino Republicans, dead set against slapping a tax, is what a tariff is, on foreign corporations. Tell me how that makes sense, Mr. Berardelli.
It doesn't make sense. And if you look at the Trump overall economic plan, what you're seeing is he's raising revenue on this tariff side, getting rid of government inefficiencies and saving Americans money. And ultimately, when you start doing the math here, you're going to end up, if things work out and all things remain equal, with a surplus for the next fiscal year. And I think that is what's not being understood here, is that tariffs alone are not the plan. The plan is tariffs, supporting American businesses, increasing productivity, lowering the burden of the expenses of government on the American people. And ultimately, that'll lead to tax cuts, because you'll end up raising more revenue in other ways. And this balancing act, or plate spinning, if you want to call it, whatever you want to call it, will ultimately end up as a net positive going forward. At least that's the theory behind the Trump economic plan, in my opinion.
Yes, and Trump had, by the way, foreign corporations, the rich billionaire foreign corporations need to pay their fair share, right, Bernie Sanders? Right, AOC? Donald Trump had another great nugget he dropped today. He wants Congress to pass this, and I really hope the Republicans can get this through, even if they have to go through reconciliation in one big, beautiful bill. He said what his plan is he wants to allow Americans who buy American cars and take out a loan to buy those American cars to deduct the interest on their loans from their income taxes. That would be tremendous. You make our cars a little more competitive with foreign cars by not only charging tariffs on the ones that are coming here, but by forcing them to lower their tariffs on what we're sending there. And then you incentivize the American people to buy American, taking out loans and deducting that from their federal income tax return. That's a no-brainer. Congress better get on board and pass that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Good job, pal. This was enlightening, informative, and entertaining. No notes at all.
I juggle too.
Fantastic. Well, listen, my final thought is not as well thought out as yours, but I firmly believe, as Andrew Breitbart believes, that politics is downstream from culture. And watching the Trump effect seep into culture has been really fun to see. Now, my friend, from our past dealings, that I am very much a fan of professional wrestling sports entertainment. I love this stuff. It's the male soap opera. It's absolutely fantastic. I know. Yes, you're my idol in this. I consider you the embodiment of all things masculine. But I want to show you. It's just going to be a photo, because I guarantee you that all these professional wrestling companies, they do copyright claims and all that stuff. So I'm not doing that. But I want to introduce Mr. Galloway to El Grande Americano. This is...
Yes!
Now, wait. This is a wrestler named Chad Gable, presumably. I can't prove that yet in the storyline. he recently made a debut. Chad Gable, by the way, is a former American Olympian in, I believe it was Greco-Roman wrestling. But now he's a pro wrestler. And El Grande Americano's backstory is that he hails from, get this, the Gulf of America. That's where he's from.
Yes.
And he is a self-styled American luchador, as they call it, the word they use in Mexico for wrestler, luchador. And he just made his debut defeating an actual luchador in a show over in Glasgow, Scotland. So they introduced this in Scotland because they know this is going to be like a heat magnet. And I just wanted to use this as an example of how culture is now catching up to politics. And the entertainment value on it is absolutely tremendous for me personally. So I had to bring it up. I absolutely love it. It's causing such a stir in the so-called internet wrestling community on X, and people were upset that they used AI to create his backstory with like vintage photos of him in Mexico wrestling, and the fact that he comes from the Gulf of America, and it's thoroughly entertaining. And that's what you expect from like a bad guy wrestler, right? To sort of lean into all the things that pushes people's buttons. And to see this happen in such a way, and to see people defending it also against those internet wrestling trolls, such a joy to see. And I absolutely love that I got a chance to merge those two worlds that I love so much, between politics and pro wrestling, into a show finally. It only took about 10 years.
Bro, I think that is brilliant. Just real quick, like you remember Hulk Hogan started off as a heel, and then when Ronald Reagan was president throughout the 80s, he became beloved and was pro-American and did a bunch of stuff. I bet you this guy has a chance with that backstory to become the new Hulk Hogan under the Trump
administration. Well, I'll tell you what, if you remember back in the day, when they turned Sergeant Slaughter into a bad guy,
yes,
they made him an Iraqi sympathizer and tearing from the world of politics and news then as well, to the point where it's been documented that the wrestler Sergeant Slaughter was getting death threats. So
and that was wrestling's like heyday, right? When it was downstream from when culture was downstream from politics. So
yeah, it was also kind of counterculture as well, because people didn't talk about it back then, being a wrestling fan when we were growing up. But everybody is, we're seeing celebrities going to these shows now and everything, and we're seeing the real cultural influence on society and borrowing from the new Trump administration. Just fun to see, just
Love
absolutely fun to see.
Brilliant,
and that's my final thought. So there you go. Hell of a show tonight, man. We did pretty good. We stayed on topic. We stayed on time. And we put out a pretty damn good work product, if I do say so myself, man.
Yeah, I'm going to go have to pop a few high blood pressure pills from that rant I went on.
It helps to get it out. It helps to get it out, pal. Otherwise you end up like this.
This is fine. I'm okay with you.
Otherwise you end up like that. So yeah, listen, I think it's time to shut the sucker down. Are you ready to get the hell out of here or what?
Let's get out of here. On to the
all right. Sounds good. Always great to talk to you, my friend. It's the only time we really do get to talk to each other, which is sad on my end, but whatever. We have no lives. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning into the show. I appreciate everybody who hung out with us, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on demand. Thank you so much for all that you do. Like, share the show with your friends, subscribe to the channels, hit notification bells, all the things to help us grow. But until next week, with our new live show, it's time to... Oh, you know what? I forgot. There's going to be a new show coming out on the channel here starting April Fool's Day. I'm not going to reveal it just yet, but be on the lookout for it. There'll be a special video coming up on April Fool's Day to explain all that. Kind of getting back to our roots a little bit with Buffoon of the Week. And I'll explain it to you later, Galloway. But until then, good night, folks. We are out of here. And God damn it, let's play that motherfucking anthem.
We're not allowed, not without electoral.
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear?
Don't let them have sway. Conservative battalions walking them out, marching through the streets while the buffoons all shout. Move in the shadows, flag on my chest, repping my clan, putting faith to the test. Cause we'll play blues behind enemy lines, fighting for the truth, feels like wartime. Don't back down, keep it rugged and raw, cool in the chaos, but loud in the war. But loud in the war. Thunder, armored advance, march to the anthem, this is our chance. If I ever stand with a smirk in a gaze, holding down the fort in this Democrat case. Whistles in the dark, strategies unfold, allies on scene, but bonds remain bold. Commitment to the cause in the heart of the storms, in the name of freedom we're breaking the norm. Cause we'll stay blues behind enemy lines, fighting for the truth, feels like wartime. Don't back down, keep it rugged and raw. gun.